Hello and welcome. Today we're taking you to a mystical world. Witches are surrounded by many myths and stories, but in this video, we'll try to shed light on the truths and misconceptions about witches. When you think of a witch, what comes to mind? Is it an old, ugly person or a young, beautiful, and charming person? Because there are sources that say both. Basically, the word witch meant a woman who practiced magic before the 15th century. Witches were generally dangerous women believed to have collaborated with the devil. Before the 15th century, the concept of witch existed in many societies under different names. For example, in the past, Turks talked about a number of beings called kazu, who were either very beautiful or old and ugly, and whose only job was to do evil. According to the belief, they would appear at night and communicate with nature spirits and sell people's souls by making deals with the devil. In the Balkans, there is a blood-drinking witch profile called strigoi. This being, known as Striga in the Albanian region, appears as a creature that steals babies in the night, especially during the winter months. Why does he steal babies? To cast a spell, it happens when there is a sacrifice in return for the spell. For greater spells, more valuable and pure creatures are required. But why do they need such a pure being for magic? For immortality. The lives of those babies who can't live their lives are being passed on to witches. So where do these beliefs about witches flying on broomsticks come from? When people were prosecuted for witchcraft in ancient courts, it was nearly impossible to prove them right. They were torturing people to make them confess that they were witches. But in order to escape the torture and die, they escaped the torture by telling lies such as, "Yes, I am a witch. I go out in the evening, I do magic, I fly on a magic broom." For a while, doctors, midwives, and veterinarians began to be associated with witchcraft. Veterinarians were declared witches because they dealt with animal bones, herbs, and plants. Midwives were held guilty for stillborn babies and were tried on the grounds that they sold the baby's soul to the devil at birth. After a while, this witchcraft issue becomes so widespread that there are people who go after witches with private associations. For example, a committee of 3 people responsible for secret investigations and intelligence was organized in Venice in 1539, and they engaged in some work such as exorcism, and sometimes they killed people they thought were witches, or reported them to the court. After the 1500s, due to the influence of the Renaissance and modernism, there were not many trials after the 1500s, but it still continued until the 1700s.